right before we did a rally in that neighborhood, to many of the people who literally had oil spilling in their backyard. You've heard of not in my backyard, they literally had an oil spill in their backyard. And many of those people didn't know Kinder Morgan had already increased the size of that pipeline the year after that oil spill. Can everybody here say shame?
I come from northern Alberta. I come from a community that's impacted by tar sands extraction. And I'm also a climate and energy campaigner with Greenpeace based in Alberta. It's amazing to see all you guys here standing in solidarity with the communities that are impacted by this extraction process and the communities that are standing in opposition to the pipeline and the super tankers that will impact their territories if this were to happen. Last spring, I returned home to witness one of the biggest oil spills in Alberta's history. It was 10 kilometers away from my family's homes. What I saw was a landscape that was forever changed. One that where my family has picked berries, hunted, trapped, fished for thousands of years. And now we know that that land will never be the same. Days before the federal and provincial government admitted that this was happening, my family was sending me messages telling me of burning eyes, headaches, nausea, dizziness. The school was shut down for a week and a half. It wasn't until after the federal election of last year that the information was released about the magnitude of the spill. 28,000 barrels, 4.5 million liters leaked onto our traditional territory without the community even knowing that it was happening. Soon afterward, the story was swept under the carpet, away from the eyes of the public. And yet we know that even though they say it will be cleaned, we know it will never be the same. And never would I wish this upon anyone else. Never would I wish this upon my worst enemy. Never would I wish this upon our Indigenous brothers and sisters that stand here today, that are in opposition to the pipeline and to the tankers on this west coast, this beautiful west coast that I stand here today. Never would I hope that someone would have to tell their family member that the toxic fumes that they're breathing in are from an oil spill nearby. That pregnant women, that elders should have probably have left the community, but no one was telling them this. Shame. The government tried so hard to deny that there was a problem that it put my family and the rest of the community at risk. Shame. And the most sad and frustrating thing about this is that my community will not be the first, nor will it be the last to experience these devastating and drastic situations. We saw it happen over 20 years ago with the Exxon Valdez spill, and we see it happening with increasing incidents across North America and the world. This is why we are here today, so that other communities can hopefully avoid this type of spill. Whether it be in the north of BC, the beautiful, beautiful coast here, or here in Vancouver Port. And the fact is that the oil that fills these pipelines is the dirtiest form of oil on the face of the planet. And that's why we are seeing in Alberta the most devastating impacts.
Oil tankers and oil pipelines threaten the ecosystems we depend on and love. So we're justifiably fighting to stop this pipeline, these tankers. But in this struggle, we must not forget that the fossil fuel industry threatens the natural world with more than just oil spills. It threatens to destroy all ecosystems everywhere. Scientists are telling us that rising global temperatures from burning coal, oil, and natural gas will devastate ecosystems all over the planet, and that we're heading rapidly to temperatures that the Earth has not seen in millions of years. They tell us that global emissions must fall 60 to 80% by 2050. That's a big reduction, and it requires immediate action. And this necessity raises a question for us here today. What happens if we succeed in stopping the pipeline, but fail to stop the accelerating rate at which the fossil fuel industry is extracting carbon from the Earth's crust? The answer is cruel. The ecosystems that we're trying to save by stopping this pipeline and tankers get destroyed anyway. I run a research team at Simon Fraser that studies how our economy produces and consumes energy and what this means for greenhouse gas emissions. We collaborate with leading research teams from around the world, and one important insight from our work is that we know what energy investments must happen today in order to reach a greenhouse gas reduction target in some future year, even a target as distant as 2050. Because energy investments last many decades. We know that coal plants can't be built. We know that oil sands production must decline. We know that vehicles must run on electricity and biofuels, and we must have public transit. And most importantly, we know when a politician is lying. Stephen Harper has promised to reduce Canadian emissions 65% by 2050, and at the same time, he aggressively pushes oil sands expansion and new oil pipelines. These don't go together. Every research team I collaborate with around the world knows that Canada can't achieve this target if today it's expanding oil sands and building new pipelines. It's that simple. So my message is basic. If we're realistic about the threats to the ecosystems we want to protect, we must stop development of oil pipelines and oil tankers in BC, but at the same time, we have to convince the rest of society that fossil fuel expansion must stop now.
Here you've got, companies that live in the companies that have made more money than anyone in the world at any time. And they still want more. They still got to take more. And the work that is done every day on television, on radio, and in lifestyles, how it's really important that you have that second car, or that you have that boat, or you can go and do all these things that rich people can do. And if you go against oil and the fossil fuels, you're going to wind up poor. You're not going to be able to have a standard of living that you're entitled to. The people have been alone for a long, long time back home. That brainwashing is so powerful, so very effective. So don't let anybody turn you away. If you feel kind of funny for yelling, shame! Don't. And if people try to tell you, yeah, you're crazy, you're never going to change anything, don't listen. Just connect with the earth. Connect with the earth. Remember your mother's people. Even you're not Indigenous, that doesn't mean that in your history you were not at one time connected with the land. Remember that time. Keep that in your heart. Thank you. Thank you for being here.
So someone just told me that tallest building in Vancouver right behind us, the Shangri-La building, is not even as big as the tankers that are currently in the Bard Inlet. And those that Enbridge's proposal, this oil super tankers that are proposed, the very large crude carriers, would be about a third taller than that building. We must stop oil tanker traffic from expanding on British Columbia's coast.
So Kinder Morgan has a plan, and they're planning to announce the details of it this week. They said by the end of March they're going to bring their proposal to the National Energy Board. And what they want to do is increase their pipeline from 300,000 barrels a day up to 6 or maybe even 700,000 barrels a day. Can everybody here say shame? Shame! Is anybody here in favor of that project? No! Wow, this is really fun. So, you know, the thing that you got to do is tell every single person you know about this, because Kinder Morgan has been trying to do this as quietly as possible. They don't want anybody to know what they're planning to do because they know that you don't support it. They've seen the opposition to Keystone. They've seen the opposition to Enbridge, and they know that they've got an existing tanker shipping route. They've got an existing pipeline, and they think they're going to be the only act left in town when everybody says no to these other projects. So we have to stand together to say no to all of these projects. So I think I'm at the end of my time, so I'm just going to say one thing. There's this amazing group of high school students that are here. They call themselves the Youth for Climate Justice Now. Are you guys out there somewhere? Youth for Climate Justice Now. Hold up your petition really high. Everybody see Angela there? There's a petition in her hand supporting the Save the Fraser Declaration, this historic declaration to oppose oil tanker traffic. We got more copies of it over at the tent over there. We need as many signatures on that petition as possible. They're organizing a big parade on Earth Day this year on Commercial Drive. It's going to end in Grandview Park, and I want to invite you all to come to be at that event as well. That'll be our next big event in the opposition to the Kinder Morgan pipeline. And together, all of us can stop all of these pipelines and we can move on to a better, sustainable future for everybody. Thank you all so much for being here.
I have a vision about climate change and what it could mean for my future that haunts me. Decades from now, I'm sitting across the breakfast table from my daughter, who's maybe my age. We're listening to reports on the news about drought, flooding, conflict, disease, all caused by climate change. And my daughter, who I know I will love more than anything else in the world, looks into my eyes and says, "Mom, how could you have let this happen?" And I get choked up every time I think about this, and I know that's weird, because I'm just a kid that I think of my kids too when I think of climate change, but I do. And this vision is so real to me. But every time I start to feel this sense of despair, this sense of hopelessness, I remind myself that it's not over yet. And it's when I'm in crowds like this with all these inspirational people that I regain that hope that we can do this. We have to do this. Because my generation deserves a better future to raise our kids in. And more pipelines and more tankers and more tar sands oil is not setting us on a track for that future. So we need to build a movement that will create so much political pressure that failing to act on climate change will no longer be a valid political option for our leaders. And while we're continuing to build that movement, we must keep on asking ourselves, what can I do next? So now I want to ask you, on behalf of Kids for Climate Action and UBC 350, to join us this coming Saturday, March 31st, as we storm the riding of BC Premier Christy Clark. Hundreds of students from UBC, from high schools, and fellow community members from the Vancouver community will be canvassing the riding of Vancouver Point Grey to demand that our Premier take a stand against the Enbridge Northern Gateway pipeline.
I understand that if we bring this pipeline through, then we won't be able to canoe, we won't be able to practice our culture, our traditional ways, because we can't canoe in an ocean of oil, and we can't feed a two-headed salmon to our elders and children, and we won't be able to teach the practices of our culture to the future generations when we are unable to practice them ourselves because of the oil. We can't drink water that is contaminated. We can't. Everything that the pipeline brings is just the word can't and the word destroy. In short, I could go on about how we need to say no to the pipeline, but it's just a simple word of what we're here to say today is no. N-O. So, I'm going to sing a song that I wrote 2 years ago, and it's called Shallow Waters, and it's based on this supertanker oil proposal. It was meant to remind people of the damaging effects of oil spills. It was meant to remind people if we pollute and pollute and pollute, this beautiful ecosystem and biome that we live in will be all gone. And there's a lyric in the song that says, if we do nothing, it'll all be gone, which I think is the real situation over here. So this is Shallow Waters, and it was funny because a year ago on this exact day, I went to Enbridge building to tell them about what I felt about their pipeline, and I was escorted out, and I was told that if I didn't leave, I would be charged for trespassing. Charge a 10-year-old girl for trespassing, so... So this is Shallow Waters, and I hope you listen to the message of the song and the lyrics. So this is Shallow Waters, and I hope you enjoy it. In shallow waters I can see your clear waves lapping at my feet. Like this ocean, black, not blue. I didn't help it deep down, I knew. In shallow waters I used to see wonders of my feet. Lifeless ocean, black, not blue. I didn't help it deep down, I knew. Tankers and pipelines keep coming through. I turned my head and so did you. Oh, 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 why do tears fall from the sky? Oh, 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 have we given up? Please tell me why. Remember the salty ocean breeze used to build castles on the beach, splashing around in the summer heat. Now it's just oiled up to our knees. Bring back the days we used to care, when all of these troubles were not there. Cry for help, this is my song. If we do nothing, it'll all be gone.
justice, climate justice.